And that's been my fuel, you know, added to the, you know what I mean, the trauma that has gone on, whether that's injuries, you know. God, my life, it's all coming into my head now, and I don't know where to go with it in the stories because it's incredible. I wouldn't have that statue without the trauma of Alex Murphy writing that story, without Sean Edwards.
That's a beautiful way to look at it.
Without Sean Edwards coming to my to my rescue. I got signed for £440,000 by Wigan. That was incredible.
Yeah.
You know, even today when I say it, in 1992, you pay that money. That was trauma.
Yeah, that's
because
incredible.
people saying to me, "You're not good enough. Why have they spent this money?"
Yeah.
I went out, won the Lance Todd, scored 10 tries in the game, had to do incredible things just to justify myself. So it was fuel to me. Without that, I wouldn't have done it.
So welcome to the pod. Today I'm joined by one of my childhood heroes. It's Martin Offiah, ex-Wigan Rugby League legend, one of the all-time legends of rugby league across the world, also played in Australia. He's also the ambassador now for Wigan Rugby League, and he's an entrepreneur, invests and is part of many, many businesses, and he's also a kick-ass DJ. So it's such a privilege for me to interview Martin this morning. Martin, how you doing, mate? Thanks for coming along.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing great. You know, every day is a blessing. So really enjoying this experience. It's great to connect with you. Were you at Wasp back in the day?
Well, yeah. So I watched you growing up with my dad.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember when you first came to Wigan, and my dad said, "Who's this soft sod from down south?" And at the end of it, it's like, "Oh my God, he's one of the best players ever." So yeah, I'm from Wigan. So I went to John Fisher, you know, where Sean went and all those kind of great players, and Sean O'Loughlin and people like that. And we met at Wasps. You were just finishing at Wasps when I came to Wasps, and we met through Sean briefly. And I didn't get the pleasure to coach you. I think you might have had another season somewhere else, and then you hung your books up.
No, I think that was my last.
Was that your last?
That was my last season.
Right.
It was just when they were changing over. I think it was Melville's last year, and it was. I was 37.
Yeah.
So I think I just finished playing at Salford, and I was going to retire, and then they had a few injuries at Wasps.
Yeah.
And Sean gave me a call and said, "Come in." And I was 37, scored some tries for Wasps, but then they didn't bring me back for another year. But I was, I wanted it. I wanted to play for another year because I thought that when you retired, that was like almost death.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was a birth. Life really did start after I retired for me.
Yeah, good for you. Well, we'll dig into that because there's a few things I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about your time in rugby league, because I know that there were some challenges along the way, and you grew through those challenges, because I'm really interested in that. And I want to talk about your transition when you finished playing. I want to get into DJing, what that means to you, and talk about what you're up to now. And at any time, just bring anything from the past that seems relevant. So I want to go straight in. You learned to play rugby in boarding school, right? Down south, relatively well educated. And then Dougie Lawton, who was the coach of Widnes, saw you, give you an opportunity. And as a southerner, a black man who's been to boarding school, who's been trained in rugby union, to take an opportunity at the club called Widnes must have been a huge risk. Tell me about the offer and the decision to go to rugby league.
Yeah, it was a huge risk, but it was the only option on the table for me at the time, really. It was a very transient time for me. I'd left school, wasn't, even though people say, you know, I went to a good school, wasn't that particularly educated. I'd got 8 O-levels, all C's. I think I had 1 A-level or something like that, and really was thinking, what is my future? My future is basically be the best rugby player that I can possibly be and see where that takes me. That was my life's plan. I remember one night thinking about it, and that's what I was trying to do. I thought to myself, I know that rugby is not a professional sport, rugby union back then.
Of course, yeah.
I left school in '85. I had a season at Essex trying to become a cricketer.
Right.
To this day, I always remind Graham Gooch that I bowled him out in the nets.
Right.
Every time Graham sees me at an event, he goes, "Martin, I know you bowled me out 1985. I roomed with Nasser Hussain, played 1 second 11 game for Essex against Sussex when a guy called Alan Wells hit me for 6 off a half volley, and I realised I wasn't a quick bowler. Back in the 70s, everyone knows about the West Indies, and I was always a bit of a cerebral bloke in the sense that, I knew about the mental side of sport, and I always knew that if I took a run up from the sight screen that I would scare people, and I was a pretty fast runner. So I just ran up really fast. I think I had people bamboozled before I'd even bowled a ball.
Right.
But when I went to play with men's cricket, I think I played 1 3-day game, as I say, for Essex, and realised it wasn't for me. I didn't get any wickets, didn't get any runs. We won, but I just thought I can't do this for the rest of my life. So I knew that rugby was for me. Yeah. I had 2 good seasons playing for Roslyn Park. Went to play in the Hong Kong Sevens. Got to play for the Bars outside Will Carling. Played for the London division. Scored 2 tries outside of Rory Underwood. I think in that game, there were 4 wingers on the pitch that day. Myself, Rory Underwood, Mike Harrison, who was the England captain, and Mark Bailey. And I think all 3 of them went to the World Cup, and I didn't. And that stuck with me.
I bet.
It was it stuck with me. But when Dougie came to get me, he said to me, "I'm basically putting a price on an England cap for you." And as I said, I didn't have anything. All I owned in the world was my trunk from boarding school, a few records, and a pretty dodgy record player. That's all I owned. I think I had 200 quid in the bank or something like that.
So a rugby union door had closed and a rugby league door opened.
Literally. And I turned it down. I knew when I went to meet Dougie, I said, whatever he's going to offer me. I think there was a Welsh, Terry Holmes, I think had signed from Cardiff to Bradford for £85,000. I remember seeing that in the Daily Mirror. That stuck with me. Yeah. I think I've got a photographic bang because I see pictures and things stick with me. And so when I went to speak to Dougie, I thought to myself, whatever he says, I'm going to say no. Because I knew one thing about business deals. I didn't know much about business deals, but I think I'd seen a few movies, and I knew that if somebody really wants you, don't accept their first offer. Because they're always going to come back with a second one. I don't know where I got that from, I don't know what to say, but that's something that stuck with me. And I remember when Dougie took me out for lunch in Finsbury Park, this hotel, and we're discussing, I'm always in the back of my mind, it's like, we're having the pleasantries now, but sooner or later he's going to talk brass tacks. Because there was only one reason why I was going, well, 2 reasons. One, to be a professional sportsman, but that also meant, earning money. Of course. So that was a big part of it. What was, and I'd say I knew what Terry Holmes had got. Not that I was an international or anything like that. But I thought that was going to be a gauge on it. So I thought, oh God, it was an exciting meeting to have, even though it was a very, scary meeting. Because, obviously from the age of 11 till, what was I, 20 at the time or whatever, I was a rugby union player. Didn't know anything about rugby league. I'd seen it on TV. It looked a very violent and unappealing game to me until I'd seen the Challenge Cup final and all the colour and the pomp and the pageantry, and that was a different thing. But so I'm in this moment with Dougie, and I'm on my own. I don't have any agent. I've got just a young kid.
And he's quite intimidating too, isn't he?
He wasn't. No, he wasn't that intimidating. But just the experience of it, being in that situation on your own, making decisions. It was scary, but like another thing in my life, I just went with my gut. And my gut was saying, whatever he says, I'm going to say no to it, but I'm going to listen. I'm going to be open, always be open. Even if I knew that I was going to say no, I was always open. I took it on board. He was saying things like, I was going to be potentially one of the greatest in this sport. And I thought he's only just blown smoke up my trumpet to get me to say, I understand what you do with people. You flatter them and things like that. And he offered me £50,000, and I said no. And it was a knee-jerk reaction. And I walked all the way from Finsbury Park to Stoke-Newington, which is a fair walk. And I like walking now, but throughout my life, I used to hate walking. It wasn't a thing for me. But I walked all the way home that day thinking, what have I done? I've given away £50,000. I thought, when would I ever get that in my life.
Yeah.
And we're talking about 1987.
Of course, and Widnes were the top team as well, weren't they?
They were Wigan were the top team, but Widnes were trying to compete with them.
Yeah.
So that's why Dougie was going out to sign
Yeah.
rugby union talent. Yeah. And I think I was sort of the first cab off the rank for him. So yeah, I said no, and I was getting on the rest of my life thinking, it used to play on my mind thinking, what could I have been? And I thought, oh, get it out of your mind, this is your path. It's not going to happen for you. I think Wasps reached out to me through Roger Rutley, and they offered me, to go and play there and said they'd get me a job. Yeah. And I think Bath reached out to me and said they would get me into university. My mum was very big on education. My dad, we come from a family of educated people. In my family, you have either got a degree or you're a professional sportsman. Or like my son Tyler, you're both, because he's at Bath Uni and he has signed for Bath. Yeah. So you had to be something very big to not go down that academic route. And so my mum wasn't keen on me going to Wasp, but so it was looking like I was going to go and study at Bath. But then this whole rugby league thing came, and it was just playing with my mind all the time. I started thinking to myself, God, I could have a car. I was started to dream about all the things in life that you could potentially have, because that's what going to boarding school gave me. It made me a dreamer. I got to meet people from different backgrounds. I learned about things like American football, because I was just in Hackney. Yeah. I was just a black kid from Hackney growing up in the 60s and 70s. It was a very sheltered existence. All I knew about was go to school and study. And, and I had dreams of other things, world, there was a big world out there. I'm still good friends with some of my mates from boarding school, a guy called Ben Watts, who is now a big fashion photographer in America, and his sister Naomi Watts is a big Hollywood actress now, and so that's what got me to start dreaming about things, because I was coming into contact with all these people, and and that's where I got the dream of playing, wanting to be a professional sportsman. So the cricket didn't work out, but then wanting to play for England at Twickenham. I'd been to Twickenham and seen the varsity match played, because my school, Wolverhampton Hall, used to take a trip to Twickenham to see that, and then I just knew I was just destined for something, to express myself, express whatever it was inside me. I don't know what it was, but that's where I'd seen myself, and it was a very funny summer. But then it must have been about, I don't know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks later. Again, it was quite a hot summer. Probably not as hot as 76, but 85 was quite a hot summer. And I just remember being sat in my mum's lounge, and the phone rang again. And it was Doug Lawton. And I had a smile on my face, because that thought came back into me. Yeah. If somebody really wants you, never accept them. Because even if they're going to give you one people, they're always going to, because imagine that. If someone says something and you really want it, you think to yourself, well, if you can, you're going to go, even if it's only £1 more, you go that bit better. And, I was starting to doubt myself, as you do in life. Sometimes you could think something with 100% conviction, but something can come along and you start doubting yourself, don't you? As I have done in the future. But on that time, it was true. And he come back and said to me, on that phone, he said to me, Martin, I've gone back to the board, and we can't offer a penny more, but I can offer you 85,000. I literally dropped to the floor. Yeah. This is a man who had nothing. Yeah. If you give somebody who has nothing now, in 2024, £85,000, you could have a life. So imagine what it was back then. Yeah. As I'd found out, I think 12 months later, it wasn't what, I think there's a few times in my life where I've thought to myself, I'm rich, and realised a few months later, actually, I'm not that rich. But that was one of the times where I literally sank to my knees in my mum's front room. Obviously, he didn't know that. And I literally, when I put the phone down, I think I put my head in my hands. I could not believe it. And, when I scored that try at Wembley and I did what I did, I think that was a time, and, there's a statue now outside Wembley of me in that pose. But the first time I did that was when Doug Lawton offered me that deal. I was literally in tears when because I was thinking to myself, what am I going to do in my life? What, this, that, as many people have been in their life, sometimes you literally do not know what you're going to do, and then something comes out of the blue and just changes your whole existence. And I literally cried when that happened, because I thought to myself, I've got a life. I can get out of my mum's house. I just went from that to. I remember Dougie saying to me, "Just come prepared. Just come prepared." He gave me £1,000 cash, and I got a gym membership. Because I think I was working a scaffolding yard or something like that during the summer. Right. I think one of the directors at Roslyn Park got me a job. Yeah. And I think I'd been working with a friend of mine, Chris Obi, is still a friend of mine today. He got me a job in McDonald's. I worked there for 3 days, but it taught me that to keep your kitchen clean, to stay humble, which is something I've always done in my life. And it taught me that I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. So that's what I always try and learn something from everything. But so I spent the whole summer just getting fit. I got a gym membership. I went down to I thought to myself, speed is a big thing for me. So I went down and joined an athletics club. And it's funny, I remember speaking to Phil Bennett about it, and Jonathan Davis as well. And they said, that's what they had done, because there wasn't all this strength and conditioning and all the things you have today. All the trainers
were athletic trainers, weren't they?
Yeah, but all you had to do, you had to figure it out for yourself. Yeah. You had to go and like in the early days of mixed martial arts, you had to go to that. It's not all under one thing for you. So I just knew that to get I think I played a bit of touch football in the summer. I played as I said, I was did a bit of gymming, and went to the athletics track, and then and I just did as much as I could, focused on it for a couple of months, and went down to Widnes, and
Okay, so you got a bit of dosh, you've got excited, you've got yourself in shape, but then you still got to prove yourself, mate.
Absolutely.
That must have, even though you've got some financial remuneration, you're a young black man who's been to boarding school, played rugby union, haven't played rugby league. You're going into the Northwest. I know what the Northwest was like when I was growing up. There were subtle tones of racism.
Subtle tones. That's a good way of putting it.
So you've gone into the lion's cauldron, really, and you've had to really prove yourself. Talk to me about the challenges that you faced in rugby league and how you overcame them and how it made you stronger.
I think I'm going to, I use this word, I think I stole it off John Wilkin, actually, this phrase, to retrospectively rationalize, to look at things in the past through a different lens. And I see a lot of my life like that. And it's just because a lot of the tries I've scored and everything, I've seen them through a screen. So then it takes, a bit of added work to actually put yourself back in those moments. And so that's why, I look at things through my educated head. I say educated because I've read a few books now, or what that young guy was thinking, and try and get myself into that person's, the way that he was thinking at that time. And I was just, I'd seen this TV show which shaped my life. It was called Roots. I did not know anything of Black history. Now we have Black History Month. I've done My Sporting Icon on Sky. I've done all these things. I've got all this knowledge. I've read about Jimmy Peters, the first black man to play for England back in 1906. But when I was this young guy at primary school, even before boarding school, watching this TV show called Roots, and I thought to myself, wow, this is how, the most racism I'd ever experienced was walking down the road and 4 skinheads in a car shouted out, "You black bastard." I thought, what's that about? It didn't have any meaning or anything to me. But when I saw that Roots, it kind of scrambled my brain.
Right. And
it kind of taught me to be grateful for anything, because I just thought to myself, Jesus, what must these people have gone through? It just blew my mind. Yeah. It made me feel grateful. I just thought to myself, imagine if I was born then. Imagine what my life would have been. I'd have been born, I would have, you know what I mean? And I used to make light of it and say to myself, especially later on in my life, I used to go that us Offiahs were so fast, we used to outsprint the slavers, stuff like that. Because sometimes in life you have to make light of. It's not a situation to make light of, but you have to do that because if you were so intense about everything in life, it would bring you down. And I think that's the way I've been in my life. So when I went to Widnes, and I used to get all this rage, I used to be at games sometimes at Hull, and I'd be in the stadium. It'd be like nighttime. I would be looking around, and then like people would be just abusing me like this. Oh, you know what I mean? It would be chorus of. And I used to think to myself, Jesus, I used to just think I was living my life in a movie. It was kind of like I had my life, and then I used to go and play rugby, and it was different. It was like stepping into a movie, stepping onto a stage. It was a performance. I used to use it as fuel. I used to think to myself, God, if I do something actually amazing here, I'm really going to affect people. Like when the hero or the villain does something in a movie, people, you know, when they're watching, they even know it's not real, but it affects them. You know what I mean? They get happy or they get sad. You can really affect somebody. And as I say...
you can affect someone's belief system, can't you?
Yes, exactly. So much so, and I say, because my dad was a very learned man, and again, looking back, I only read my dad's book called Understanding Your Emotions after I retired, but it taught me so much, and I understood so much about myself and about the things that you do in life, and as you know more about psychology, and I said, as I learned stuff, I thought, oh, that's the way I am, you know, people call things like mild trauma. I just call that negatives turning into positives. Using mild trauma as fuel. It's just basically turning negatives into positives.
Turning pain into purpose.
Exactly. Which I was doing. And I was basically what I've learned now called I was unconsciously competent. That's what I was doing. I was doing things unconsciously which were making me successful. Whereas people do, you know, you can be unconsciously incompetent, but you know that's what I was doing, and I was using that fuel. I was as a mechanism to make the people who were in black and white, Widnes fans, cheer. And that's what they loved me, and to this day, even Widnes fans who hated me when I left probably still love me now because you know. This time is a great healer, like things like that. You know, they hated me obviously when I was at Widnes. Sorry, when I was at Wigan. But you know, now that I've been retired, you know, 20 odd plus years, they can love me again. And I just love being in that intense environment. And even now, I kind of miss it. And people say, "How can you miss being racially abused?" But now, you know, with the DJ and all the stuff that I do, it's like you're trying to get an emotional response from yourself. You know, sometimes you want to cry, you want to laugh, you want to be happy, you want to experience those emotions of life, which make us human. And that was a big part of my life. You know what I mean?
Of course.
It made me who I am today. I think I put a post on LinkedIn the other day, and I was saying that people often ask me, you know, what do you enjoy more? Did you enjoy playing union or do you enjoy playing league? And I said union was like my mother. You know, it gave birth to me. You know, without it, I would be nothing. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't know anything about rugby. But league taught me about life, about what's possible, about the riches of this world, about all the things that a father teaches you, about how to control your emotions, about how to work hard, about how to do all those things that you need to be great and what greatness is. And, you know, now I can't believe it. And when people say stuff like, I have a statue outside Wembley. I wake up every morning and that's one of the first thoughts that I have. I think I can't, from that little Cockney Nigerian kid who didn't know anything. You know, I didn't have a Sean Edwards as a dad. When I speak to Tyler and my sons now, I said to them, you know, you know what I mean? I just had a dad who gave me, you know, so much, but it wasn't about rugby. It wasn't about sport even though I found out that my dad was quite a good sportsman when he was younger. You know, he was a product of his time. So his parents, you know, he was the 16th of 18 children. I can't even comprehend that.
Wow.
It's written on the back of that book that I gave you. And he was the 16th of 18 children. My dad's dad was a clerk of the court. So he was a learned man who had an elevated position. You know, sometimes even the conversations I'm having with you now, I'm
Yeah.
just discovering things in my brain,
Yeah,
and
of
you
course,
know, things are
course.
connecting. It's almost like I feel like I'm in therapy, trying to connect things and
Yeah.
things to make sense.
Well,
that,
your ancestry must be incredible.
Yeah.
Have you looked into that?
No, because I did a program recently, because I've always wanted to do those, you know, the programs about ancestry, but I always thought, well, how are they going to go back to Nigeria and find the records? But I did one about my sort of DNA,
Yeah.
where I went to dinner with 4 people and I had to guess which one I was related to, because they just studied our DNA. And
Wow.
because I always thought, you know, I'm Ofia, there's no slavery in my ancestors, you know, we outrun the slavers.
Yeah.
But then it turns out that we were not, because obviously we might have escaped them, but we've obviously got cousins who didn't. So I've got relations who have lived through slavery. One girl who lives in Bradford now, we have an ancestor connected going back 150 years
Yeah.
to the west coast of Africa, which again, you know, stuff like that is just like.
So was your father driven?
Yeah, he had to be driven,
right?
you know, to come over to this country to study law, philosophy, insurance, psychology.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, study all that, and then, you know, get called to the bar, become a barrister, and then go back to Nigeria and hold a high position first in insurance, and then become a magistrate. I remember being in a courtroom, seeing him sentenced somebody to 10 years in jail for a crime in England, which I thought, mate, you might get off with that. It didn't.
I think your phone's going off though.
No, I think it's just my. I think it's my.
Is it your phone?
My watch telling me that I should be walking or something like that. But yeah, it was crazy. No, the life that he lived, coming from that time, it just bamboozled me. So I just think to myself, you know, when I hear people complain today, when I go to the David Lloyd, I like going to the David Lloyd gym and working there, because I always think to myself, I'm surrounded by the luckiest people in the history of the world that has ever been born. That can be in the gym at David Lloyd and afford to be in that gym during the day, and then have their little computer and go and work in the you know, in the little office that they have there.
Yeah.
That is incredible, isn't it? You are just so lucky when you think of what, even compared to people of today. And that's why I always see gratitude in everything that I do, and just see the amazement. And still, even to this day, I'm good friends with a guy called Tony Collins, because I'm reading a book he's written. It's not been published yet, about the rugby league player Roy Francis. I don't know if you know much about Roy Francis.
No.
Born in Wales in 1919 or something like that. Went to Wigan as a 17-year-old in 1937. Wow. Imagine that. A black man going to Wigan, but then was embraced by, that's why I love that town, Wigan. They embraced him as a 17-year-old, right? The guy who he lived with, he ended up getting his daughter pregnant, and then they married and had a life. Just imagine what that must have been. I'm thinking in 1937. So they embracing a black man into your house and allowing him to have a kid with your daughter. And then some guy from Australia called Harry Sunderland came over and sold him. He'd played 7 games as a 17-year-old, scored about 7 tries, something ridiculous. And some white guy came from Australia. We all know what Australia was like. Of course. In them times came and then sold him to Barrow. So when I hear all these stories, you have to feel gratitude for everything that you, and so you look for it. And when I look for it, I find more of it. And I keep finding things. This is what I found out the other day. I found out that just under 250,000 people have played rugby league in this country since 1895.
Wow.
I think the figure is 248,000, because you know that everyone's got heritage numbers now. So they know how many people have been registered to play rugby league since 1895. Right. So at the moment, it's about 240. That's call it 250,000 people.
Of course. Wow.
Only 2 of them have scored more tries than me. Bastards. Just when I say that, I can feel things go. When they say things like the hairs are growing up the back of your neck, that means something's happening in your brain. That's basically what it means.
Who are they?
Billy Boston, who I get to speak with
Of course.
A lot. and Brian Bevan, two Australians.
There was no defences back in them days,
Yeah,
was there?
but and then I take it one step further. I said that since the sport of rugby league has been the 6 tackle rule, so which is what we call the modern game of rugby league. Because before I didn't realise until 1962 or 1967 or around in the 1960s anyway. That's when the 6 tackle law was invented. Because before then, it's like if you had the ball, you didn't lose it. You used to get the ball, and I thought I couldn't even comprehend that because even when I think about,
I can't comprehend
even when
that.
I think of the old game of rugby league and what Billy Boss and all them played, I still think of the 6 tackle rule. So that's why it's like your perception is your reality, and my reality has just changed. So Tony Collins sent me a game, a Challenge Cup final from the early 60s, so I could see what the game was. It was a totally different game. So as soon as you got the ball, unless you dropped it or whatever, that's why the game was so violent. People didn't understand because you had to give somebody a smack to drop the ball. So that's why they say don't hate the player, hate the game. So you really have to understand the times, and that's why so people get angry at that time. So I can't get angry, and I don't want to chop down statues or change history or do anything because it was a different time.
Of course.
It was a different time. And if you was in that time and you was at that time, you would probably be doing what they were doing. So don't be using your advanced brain to start haranguing people. So it's just like I just have so much gratitude for being in the situation that I am now. And then if you look for it, you you might have to start small and think that, might be passing your driving test or doing this or just, back in the old days, it was staying alive. That's why they celebrated birthdays, because it was such an achievement to live another year, which people don't get now. People, it's like we should celebrate birthdays now every probably 10 years, because that's probably, or you celebrate birthdays after 50 or after this or after that. But people do not realise that when you say things to people, they just go, people don't realise they only celebrate birthdays now because living for another year, how many hundreds and hundreds of years ago was a massive achievement. It's not a massive achievement now. Even if you are, on your way out, you know what I mean? You could still probably live another whole year.
Of course. Just going back to your dad a second, it sounds like you might not have known it at the time, but it sounds like he modelled to you taking a big risk, diving off the cliff, coming over here, proving himself, and being really driven to prove himself. It sounds like you've done the same when you went into rugby league.
Yeah. I'll say that the difference with me was that I was the runt of the litter in my whole family. I can't put it any clearer than that.
Right.
I was the third of 3 children. All of my family have degrees. My dad's got, I think he's got 3 or 4 degrees.
Right.
My mum's got degrees. My sister's got degrees.
Yeah.
My brother has got degrees, but I'm the only one who's got MBEs. I always love that one. Because that just, you know what I mean? It's like, that's why you've got to go on your own path of life and don't follow somebody else's path. Got to go on your own. And so I was always, I didn't win a race in my whole family until I started playing professional rugby.
Got it.
My sister, a year older than me, he used to beat me all the time.
Yeah.
My brother, people don't realise it, even my brother at my school, if you meet anyone who went to my school, Wolverhampton Hall School, up in Ipswich, which I shouldn't have even been in anyway, I only got in because of my brother, they would have said to you, how did Martin make it? Chike was the one. He was good at everything. Yeah. My brother is the greatest human being that I've ever met in my life. He lived through a war, right? He was lucky. He was fortunate. My parents came over here, I think late 50s, early 60s. Well, must have been, he was born 61, so yeah, it must have been late 50s. Had my brother, sent him back to Nigeria because obviously they were working and studying. So there's no childcare, no family, no nothing. So sent him back to live with them, his grandparents.
Right.
The Biafran war broke out. And then, so they couldn't get him back.
Okay.
When they had us, obviously they didn't send us to a war zone, so we went to foster. I lived with a white family till I was 3 or 4 years
Wow.
old, which is a bit
Wow.
traumatic for me. I don't want to start
Yeah.
scraping that back off.
Yeah.
But when my parents come to get me, to take me home, I just thought, who are these people?
Yeah.
And cried
Yeah.
for Uncle Les and Auntie Win. I thought that they were my parents. It was that was trauma.
Of course.
But I use it as, as I say, through my life I've had trauma, but I use it as fuel.
Yeah.
My brother came over when I was 4, he was 7, couldn't speak English. Imagine meeting your brother for the first time. He couldn't speak to him.
Wow.
He couldn't speak, he spoke Igbo.
Wow.
Couldn't speak English. We used to take the mickey out of him. We used to tell him that when we had ice cream, that because even to this day it does feel like cardboard, it's an ice cream cone. If you didn't ever see that was a Martian, you'd be thinking, can you eat this?
Yeah.
So we told him it was cardboard. And so we used to eat his ice cream cone. By the time he was 11, he learned to speak English, passed his 11 plus, got into Wolverhampton Hall. Me, who'd been speaking English all my life, failed by 11 plus, only got into Wolverhampton Hall because of the sibling rules. So they didn't separate siblings out in those days. So I got into Wolverhampton Hall. So every time we go to Wembley and we see that statue, he goes, if not for me, you wouldn't have had that, because I didn't know anything about rugby. I was just a kid growing up in Hackney. I loved football. I wanted to be a footballer. Then I went to a boarding school which didn't have a football team. Thought my parents didn't love me, sending me to a boarding school. So I've had lots of that was, I wet the bed when I was 11, when I was early, and I think that was trauma, trying to get into being in boarding school,
Neglect.
whatever. I think my parents always used to threaten us by saying that if we didn't behave, they're going to send us back to Nigeria. And I thought, Chikes live through a war, even to this day. Even to this day, I mean, some of that is it's deep. And I'm thinking, well, how can you do that to a kid? But it's just product of your time. That's how you did. You know what I mean? I got beaten at home, at school, and at school. I went to a boarding school. I got caned. I got slippered. I'm thinking to myself, in this world now that we live in, that would never happen.
No.
You would never imagine that. I'm sending my 11-year-old to school.
Yeah.
He's going to get beaten by his housemaster. He's going to get beaten by his headmaster. And I think the thing I got beaten for, I think one was being loud, and the other one was like, I don't think it was even me.
Right.
But I got beaten for it.
Right.
But yeah, that's the theme through my life. So I think that kind of like that repeated mild trauma, that repeated, you can only depend on yourself, that burn the boats mentality.
Yeah.
We're in it. You know what I mean? I always say to people, if this building's on fire now, we're either going to get out or we're going to die, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we're going to use all the knowledge that we had. I came through that door, so if the fire's over there, I'll probably going to go that way. If the fire's there, I'm going to see if I can smash through that wall. I'm going to see if that door's open. Yeah. I'm going to see if there's a light bulb. I'm going to see. We're just going to have to figure it out, and that's what you do when you're in that thing. You have to just figure it out, and I think I figured out how to score tries because I loved scoring tries. I thought, what could I do? What speed? I just had this desire.
Was rugby in boarding school just a freedom for you?
Yeah, it was because I wasn't intelligent. I wasn't intelligent.
Yeah.
It was my only way of getting any, I think the first time I got any praise at boarding school, I think was when I won the house cross country.
Okay.
In the second year. And because I was a pretty outgoing kind of, fun, always wanted to crack jokes, always wanted to be, have fun and enjoy myself. And sometimes that meant being too loud. Sometimes even when I'm in meetings, now in business meetings, they say, Martin, tone it down a bit. Because I've got too much passion. I've got too much inside of me that I'm trying to get out. But then I knew that's a better thing to do that, to try and tone it down, than to have nothing.
Yeah.
To have no fire.
Yeah. But you could bring that out in your rugby, couldn't you?
Yeah, I could be myself. And that was the time that I could, get some reward. I remember when I won the house cross country, Mr. Sadler said, "Oh, Martin, you brought some great, pride to the house. You can be as loud as you want tonight, and you're not going to get in trouble." So I remember going around the house. I think I shouted so much I hurt my voice. But yeah, if you scored tries, and everyone would come out, and I remember playing for the first 15 was a big, massive thing at our school on Churchfield. The whole school used to go out. It was a cauldron. You know what I mean? And if you scored a try, you become a star. And I saw that early on, that wow. And if you could have scored an amazing try, it'd be even, people would lose their absolute minds.
Yeah.
So I used to see that when I remember, because a guy called Cedric Carr, who went on to play for Roslyn Park, who was sort of my first hero, I thought to myself, I want to be that guy. Right. Cedric running down the ring, scoring tries, and everyone cheering. Because he got me excited. So I was on that side, seeing him do it. And then I've been on his side, on the biggest stage. So imagine that, I'm playing at Wembley in front of 85,000 people. I'm thinking, that was the only time you could connect with the nation, you know, on a sporting field for playing rugby league. Rugby league was not a big vehicle.
Yeah, of course.
Imagine if I'd have done half of what I'd done in rugby union. Yeah. Sorry, in rugby league and rugby union, I'd be far bigger star than anyone could ever comprehend. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that was your one, that you had that one day to try and do it.
Of course.
And I remember, and Alex Murphy, I thank him now. I thank Alex Murphy.
Yeah, he gave you some shit, didn't he?
Oh, mate, I woke up on the Friday and there was imagine that. Even now, most people in the country don't know who Bevan French is. They don't know who Jay Field is. These are players who I'm trying to get a national profile because they deserve it. What Bevan French has done in 2024 is absolutely incredible. What Matty Pete has done as a Wigan coach, as a coach, as a human being, is absolutely incredible. Yeah. And that's what I do now. I'm a storyteller now because I've been telling stories mainly to motivate myself throughout my career, to say, this is what I've done, it's amazing. Go do something else even more amazing. Yeah. And that's been my fuel. You know, added to the, you know what I mean, the trauma that has gone on, whether that's injuries, you know. God, my life, it's all coming into my head now and I don't know where to go with it in the stories because it's incredible. I wouldn't have that statue without the trauma of Alex Murphy writing that story, without Sean Edwards.
That's a beautiful way to look at it.
Without Sean Edwards coming to my to my rescue. I got signed for £440,000 by Wigan. That was incredible. Yeah. You know, even today when I say it, in 1992 you pay that money. That was trauma. Yeah, that's because incredible. People saying to me, "You're not good enough. Why have they spent this money?" Yeah. I went out, won the Lance Todd, scored 10 tries in the game, had to do incredible things just to justify myself. So it was fuel to me. Without that, I wouldn't have done it. But then I dislocated my shoulder in Australia in 93. I come back, there's Jason Robertson, there's Vaiga Tugamala. Everyone's saying, we have to get rid of Martin. Sean Edwards came to me and said, look, Martin, believe in yourself. That's why I knew that believing. Imagine that. I'm in this situation, literally thinking that I'm literally in tears thinking Wigan are going to get rid of me. I've only been here a year. That's trauma. Yeah. That's a grown man sitting in a dark room with a dislocated shoulder. Of course. You know, Wigan not paying me because they said you went to play in Australia. We didn't want you to do that. Yeah. So they didn't pay my wage. People, no one knows this, didn't pay my wages. I had to go and appear naked in a magazine. And some other things have happened because of that. Because they were going to pay me £10,000 to do it. Yeah. And I thought I had to do that. Yeah. Because I'm not getting paid. They said, we're not paying you until you get back on the pitch. When I got back on the pitch, obviously they're not happy with me, got back on the pitch, wasn't playing well. They've signed Vaiga Tugamala, Jason Robertson, you know, definitely the greatest cross-code rugby player, you know, that England has definitely produced. Yeah. So I'm under pressure thinking that. Yeah. So I go back to my thing, I'm thinking that, and then Alex Murphy, because everyone jumps on, don't they? When they see weakness, that's the thing in life. When people see weakness in you, everyone jumps on. So Alex Murphy, who is literally on the statue with me now at Wembley. Yeah. So we are together for eternity. And I've never said anything to him about it. Yeah. But he wrote a story about me, full page. Imagine that. Yeah. In 1994.
What was the headline? He's lost his bottle.
Yeah. That's what someone wrote. But I'm saying, but you have to turn that into positive as fuel.
Well, it's not easy to do, but it sounds like you have got a history of turning that into fuel. You know, it sounds like over and over again.
I've done it. You have to keep repeating yourself. And I'm doing it now. I'm doing it all the time. You continue. Yeah. It doesn't end. It never ends. You can take a break from it. You can take a rest from it. Yeah. And now I'm doing it with my kids. And everyone was second guessing you this. I've been through it. I've been with Tyler. But I always like to keep the things. The reason why I keep the things is as evidence. You know what I mean? Because once you've won trophies, once you've got the newspaper cuttings, I've got newspaper cuttings on my wall from the day I signed for Widnes. Wow. It was only 2 lines. Yeah, 2 lines. It said, Widnes signed promising rugby union winger. When Jonathan Davis signed, they had every page of the newspaper. When my son was playing rugby, all the kids at the school said to me, you know, because he got a scholarship, they all say to him, you've only got that because of your dad. I said, you have to use it as fuel to prove them wrong. Yeah. And now I say to him, you're a professional rugby player. Where are all those people when you were 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, saying you're only because your dad. And now you're going to get, now people, his chant, I love it because I said you've got to use it for fuel. He was playing for Bath Uni against, who was it they were playing against? I think they were playing, was it Loughborough they were playing against? And I think some of his mates had started the chant, but the chant was in the crowd. They said, Tyler Offiah, you're not as good as your dad. And when I hear things like that, it just makes me cry because I think because of where I've come from, that I produced a kid that they're singing that to. When I was in Italy this year watching him play for England, Rugby Union, I literally had tears in my eyes. He scored a try for England, Rugby Union, against Scotland. He was on TV in Australia because of it, right? And there was one kid, and I could hear it, and I think you can, if you go and look at the video, it's on YouTube, you can hear one lone kid singing, swing low, sweet, and I was just burst into tears. I burst, because I thought about myself there, and I think to myself, and I didn't know about the whole swing lows. It was Colin Welland who wrote Chariots of Fire who told me about it. He said, I was there that day and I didn't know my nickname was Chariots even when it came out.
Of course.
It was just because I'm not Floyd Mayweather. I don't give myself nicknames. It was just because of my name, because you were a fast runner, and they started calling you Chariots. And then the RFU, I think the curator of the museum contacted me once and said, we found some footage of Swing Low being sung on the pitch when you were playing for Roslyn Park in the Middlesex Sevens. And I thought, what? Because, I don't know whether they were singing at me or whatever, but I was there because they thought the first time that Swing Low was ever sung at Twickenham was when Chris Oates scored a hat-trick for England against Ireland in the 1988, Five Nations or whatever it would have been then. But they'd found evidence. So I thought, wow, maybe he was telling me the truth, Colin Welland, who's no longer with us. He wrote Chariots of Fire. And so I never used to buy into that whole thing. But then another thing I learned throughout if so many people want something to be, that's what I say, don't let the truth stand in the way of a good story, does it? So if so many people want that to be true and they believe it and they reinforce it and it makes them go, I'll say, okay, I'm Chariots. So that's when I sort of embraced that nickname and I just thought, I'll just go with it. But my nicknames, I think Tony Myler gave me my first nickname, which was Tinner. And then when I started knocking about with Sean Edwards and Ella Hanley, they called me Jibber because I used to say that I used to jib all the work. Like a lot of people from Sean Long, if you ask him what my nickname is, he'll say, it's Jibber. Or Wes Cotton or a few other rugby players around that time. But even to this day, Sean will call me Jibber, Jib. But then the public know me as Chariots. So it's, to different people, you can be different things. And so when I think my dad gave me that idea of the mindset, he used to tell me things like, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. But now they say, you are, the four closest people associated. They always give these technical terms or whatever, whatever they are. But I think he inbuilt those things into me. And I think I just got that kind of inner belief, which has been shaken at times. But that's when you need the people around you to instill the right person to say, come on, you can do it.
Let's go into the people around you because it's obvious that you've responded. I'm not going to say positively because I know it's been hard for you, but that you've been driven by challenge and you've gone through it and you've proven yourself over and over and over again. So you've responded to challenge. Let's flip to the other side. Support. Talk to me in your rugby career, whether it's a PE master, coach, Sean Edwards, Eloy Hanley, whatever. Who have been the people that have really supported you? Let's go through that on that journey of support.
Yes, you do need that support. No man is an island. And even because I used to think to myself sometimes that I was self-made, I've done it all myself and this and no, because you're looking at all the challenges that you've had and all the things you've had to, so you could get kind of seduced thinking that it's all you. And even if you do think it's all you don't, because I felt like at one time in my life, I felt like I achieved in spite of, when you never achieve in spite of, you always achieve because of, whether that's positive or negative. It's just your perception of it. And I was just on the way here today, I was speaking to my oldest and best pal who I played rugby with at Wolverhampton, Chris Obi. And we were talking about this guy at Ipswich rugby club who gave him a nickname of Smithy, because his surname is Ogugwa. And we say, because I was always one of that surrounding myself. I always take my mate with me. I said, if I could take a friend with me, I'd always take, so he always used to come with me to games and stuff, even though he was just playing at the school, but he'd always come with me. And I remember this guy, I can't remember what his name is, but we used to just call him Bucks, just because he used to pay for everything. Because we were just at school, we didn't have anything. So he'd take us for something to eat after. And I always understood and realised why he came to pick me up. At first, I didn't get it.
Right.
But yes, he was doing good for me. But I think he knew that I was helping the team win. So you always, you know what I mean? You're gonna. If someone's gonna play for your team and make them win, you're gonna go and pick them up, aren't you? Yeah. That's a fact of life. Yeah. But he was always somebody. Kevin Young was always somebody else. He was the first guy, I'd say, was a PE teacher. But even going back further than that, I say that Mr. Thornbury was the first person who gave me support, because he was my first rugby teacher when I was 11, and I didn't know anything about rugby. And as I always say, I think I did a piece in the Daily Telegraph when he died recently.
Okay.
He was an English teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some themes coming in. He was an English teacher, a great orator. Could speak so well. He could inspire people.
So he inspired you?
He inspired me. He was the one who told me before my first, because I was so nervous, before my first ever game representing the school against another school. It was okay playing, you know what I mean? We had this game called Stonehenge, because a lot of people who came to Wolverhampton Hall didn't come from rugby backgrounds. They used to have to be able to pick A, B and C groups. They used to get the whole the year on a pitch with 3 balls. Each ball had a referee who was a sixth former. They kicked the balls up and then they just said go. Right. So you could see who was strong, who was fast, and then you'd see who was a brother of somebody else who was good. So because my brother was good in the school, people were always interested to come and see. So it was entertainment. Yeah. So it was like got you to understand about life. Even if you weren't interested in rugby, you'd be interested in the human life story about it. You'd be interested in the fact that Cyril Offiah's brother is in there. Is he any good? Is he good? We go, wow. If he's no good, we go, try it. Your brother's
like a talent selection, isn't it?
Yeah, brother. So we did that, but that didn't mean anything because I was with my friends. But I remember the first game that I played against another school was a big deal for me for some reason. I don't know, maybe because I made it a big deal. I remember him saying to us, I want you to go and pray to the gods of rugby that you play well tomorrow. Wow. So I remember going to bed that night and dreaming, seeing myself on that rugby pitch doing good stuff. As I say now, I was just a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. I was just dreaming about. I love to dream about things, and I would always dream about, God, well, what would I be? What would my, what my future be like? Because of the trauma, I think, because of what I'd been through, seeing roots, seeing this, knowing that I wasn't going to probably inherit anything. What was I going to do? I was going to have a car or this or that. It was going to be down to me. I wasn't very intelligent. What was I going to do? The situation that most people in life find themselves in as an adult. But I was thinking that I was already thinking that as a kid. So I think I've been used to like using my brain and my, because of my dad and everything, trying to create things and then manifest it into reality. And that's something that has gone through my life. So the support was Doc Thornbury, and he was the first one who got me to that, and I thought, wow, and I had such a great game. And I think it's because of me moving my wrist all the time. And then Kevin Young, who was our head of sport at Wolverhampton Hall, he was one who said, Martin, he took me down to Ipswich Rugby Club, so I started playing for the Colts. And another thing I learned from him was don't take unnecessary risks. He was a fine sportsman, a great scrum half, played for Ipswich as well in the men's senior team, went on a skiing holiday, broke his leg, never played again. I think got on to drink and stuff and everything, and things went down for him. So he was a big influence on me. And then this guy who I can't remember his name, but I just remember his nickname. We used to call him Bucks, because he was a very influential man at the club. He was a very wealthy man. He was a very generous man as well. And, so I learned a lot from him. And I think Doug Lawton, my first Widnes coach, he was a father figure.
He took a risk, didn't he?
Yeah, he took a risk, but it was a risk. Looking back now, it taught me that it was genuine because he paid all that money.
Yeah.
He paid all that. People have always put a lot of money down for me in context. You know what I mean? They offered a lot of money. Wigan put down a lot of money because, as we well know, you can say whatever you want to say in this world if you're trying to sell me something, but if your money ain't in it, I ain't putting my money into it. Because if you genuinely believe, like it was at the Back to the Future, which is my wife Virginia's favourite movie, and we went to see the if you like that movie, go and see the stage show. It's absolutely transfixed. You know, I was transported. Sorry, there's a word before. I was transported into something totally different. It's incredible. But in that they have the scene with the almanac, isn't it? If you had that, you would bet the house on it, wouldn't you? If you genuinely believe it, you are going to bet the house on it. If you don't, then you think there's some doubt in it. So these are the lessons I learned in life, and that Doug Lawton, I thought this guy must be.
Yeah,
he must
believed in you.
He must be believing in me, and he used to take me. And something that I learned from Matty Pete, and is that in what he does, is what Doug Lawton did for me. You know what I mean? When I was away from home, I ate Christmas dinner in his house.
Wow.
And I'm reading books now about a guy called Roy Francis, one of the pioneer coaches of this time of modern sport, any sport. A black man as well, who came from Wales to Wigan in 1937 and then went as a black man to coach teams, you know, in the 1950s at Barrow, at Hull, and then in the 60s at Leeds, you know, won Challenge Cups and won so many things. And he did the same thing. He treated the players as family. He brought them into his own house. There was nothing off limits. It wasn't, I'm the coach. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're the player. It's like, we are one. I'll do anything for you. You know what I mean? If I have to give of myself to you, to sit down with his family at Christmas, you know, which is a very emotional time for sportsmen to be away from home. We trained on Christmas Day. You know what I mean? Went to eat Christmas dinner at his house. I think that had an effect on me because, you know, not only as I'm doing it for myself, I'm doing it for him. I'm doing it for the town, in those northern towns. You know, people can say a lot of disparaging things about, you know, the north of England, especially at that time. And I could have just focused on the negative, you know, as people do, you know, cup half empty or cup half full. You know, I remember the time when I went to Oldham, and I think it was a particularly bad day in the sense that they wouldn't let me eat on the bus after the game. I remember, imagine that. Because I was thinking about harking back to the times when I'm reading now what, you know, Roy experienced when he was in Australia, what he experienced, you know, through racism in 1940s. And I think once he couldn't get into a game he was playing in because at Welford Road, because the stewards didn't believe that a black man would be playing for England when he was playing in the interwar years. And I liken that back to my time. And I'm thinking, this was 1988, and I think I was playing at Oldham, and there was these fans. I used to play a game, and if I see a particular group of fans abusing me, I'm thinking, it's on today. It's on today. Yeah. If I could do something amazing, then I would go back to those fans. This is my little game. This is my make them play today. And I just look at them and I'd smile, which would then infuriate them. Yeah. So they're trying to get over the barriers to try and assault me.
I remember sometimes you do that,
and I do that, and just or smile. You know what I mean? And because I've done what I've done, and then they're trying to get over the fence to assault me, and then they told me, because these certain fans are in the clubhouse, that I couldn't go in there, that I had to go and sit on the bus and eat my meal on the bus. And when I said, because I'm from Hackney, I'm not fronting it from anyone. If you want it, you want it. But I ain't going looking for it because I ain't stupid. But I'm not going to not do something, go and have some food. I'm going to go have my food. But they told me I had to go and eat my food on the bus. And I said, why do I have to do that? They said, it's your fault. You were inciting them. They said it was my fault that I had to go and eat on the bus because I was inciting fans to come onto the pitch to assault me. I was thinking, mate, I'll get it. I'll take my responsibility, but I'm just winding them up. It's like, you're abusing me winding you up, but you're choosing to say it's my fault. But that's another thing I learned about life. Life's about perception. It's about how you perceive something is your reality. And I didn't realize I was learning these things at the time. But so going up there to North England through life teaches you so much, isn't it? As I say, in school, you kind of start, you learn and then you get tested, isn't it? Whereas in life, you're tested and then you learn from the test. So it's the reverse.
Yeah, 100%. But in life, you want something. Life will say, all right then, here's a challenge.
Yeah.
Here's a challenge.
Here's a challenge. If you pass the challenge, then you get it. You get the knowledge.
For sure.
You get the money.
And the feeling.
You get the feeling. You get everything. Everything is beyond the test.
Yeah.
Did you pass it? But sometimes even failing is sometimes winning. It's like people don't kind of get, you think it's what is your definition of winning, winning could be someone punches you in the face, you knock them out, you've won. But it could be losing. You know what I mean? People come to you, punch you in the face, you fall down, you've got a broken jaw, you get your broken jaw fixed, you get up, you get on with your life. But then the person who thought he's won might end up in jail.
Yeah, of course.
For murder. Yeah. For 25 years. Who's won now? Yeah. Yet again, the person who broke his jaw and had the jaw repaired is now a multimillionaire living in Los Angeles. Yeah. Who's the... So it's your perceptions.
100%.
So what is winning 100%. Is winning to you. So it's kind of funny. So I was kind of learning those, even though a lot of them weren't kind of clear to me. As I go back and I look, and because I'm still going, you always have to go back, learn the things that you learn, and then use it to go forward and to help other people go forward because you think that people haven't helped you, but it's only when you look back you think, God, Bucks was a big thing for me. Yeah. Without giving me a lift to those games to play for Ipswich, I wouldn't have got that experience to be able to play with men while being still at school and doing all that, even though I was given something, because you're given it, but I was getting so much. And then Doug Lawton coming, Doug Lawton, he would not have known about me because if you had seen me on TV, even though there was a story that Ray French, the commentator, tells that I was playing against Waterloo School, some of his former pupils. Ray French, great guy, dual code international, played rugby union and rugby league, internationally as well. Them went on to become a school teacher, had these pupils who I played against who came and said, look, Ray, this guy is absolutely amazing. I always say I went viral before the internet, as you did back then. How do you go viral? Word of mouth, isn't it? That's how like Christianity. How does that spread? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was people saying, "Oh wow, have you seen that guy?" So you had to affect somebody emotionally for them to go to somebody else and go, "Wow, have you seen that kid?" You know what I mean? Yeah. Because that's what we do now. You see something, you see a reel, and it goes, and you know what I mean? Yeah. Who was I with yesterday?
Emotion affects behaviour, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think I was with somebody. Who was I with? And they said, because I was talking about the podcast you did with Matty. Yeah. I think I was talking to Brandon Neal or somebody, and they said, "Can you send me that?" And I thought, that's how you go viral. It's like send you the reel. Of course. But then it was like you tell somebody, and they tell somebody else. They tell somebody. Yeah. Tell somebody else, and that's how it went on. It went, but
Martin, which coach had the greatest influence on you?
Oh, that's
the greatest influence.
I
know there's many.
I'd have to say Doug Lawton, man, because I'd have to say, but he wasn't the greatest coach to me technically. Yeah. Because I was figuring it out by myself, really. Then I was just scoring tries. But he gave me the money, he gave me the emotional support, he gave me the teammates, the Jonathan Davises, the Alan Tates, the Paul Moriartys, the Amosi Kalotos. Yeah. So, but he created me. But then, so he was like, in rugby league terms, he was like the one that created me and then gave me to Wigan.
Got it. And Talk to me about your three greatest relationships in rugby league. I know Sean was a big influence.
Yeah, Sean's massive.
Which of the players had the greatest influence on you?
Ellery Hanley, of course.
Talk to me about your relationship with him, because I heard about that before.
Yeah, it's a strange one, and I've got to be kind of, because I know that Ellery is a very private man, and he doesn't like people talking about him, and I know that for a fact. So I want to respect that. So I don't want to say anything about Ellery per se. Yeah. Because I owe that man so much.
Talk to me what he gave to you.
Yeah, what he gave to me. He taught me the value of me. I did not know the value of me until I met Ellery Hanley. I thought I did, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what star power meant.
Yeah.
You know, what it means when somebody of significance walks into a room, what that means to a club, what that means to a country, how you've got to carry yourself, and you know, don't devalue yourself, because even the people that love you will exploit you, and that's just a fact of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a harsh reality of life, and something that I was not aware of, but that's what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Even if they love you, if they give you things, and we would do it. You know what I mean? Imagine, I have a wife. I love that wife. She's very beautiful. She's great. Other people will desire her.
Yeah.
And if she wants to leave me, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So that's how I saw it in terms of with Widnes. When I came to Widnes, yes, they paid me a handsome sum, but I didn't have to pay anything to get me into the club.
Yeah.
I was the top try scorer there every single year I was there. Imagine that today.
Yeah.
You buy somebody for nothing. They're the top try scorer every single year they're there. For the 4 years, you've won championships, you've won World Club Championships. It's not all because of me, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a big part of it.
Of course. Of course.
So if that person wants to leave, then you're not going to want that person to leave you.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit, you know, things got a little bit negative.
Yeah.
But Doug Lawton, I've got nothing but positives to say for Doug Lawton. But Ellery, he just taught me that power. So he, after that first year, because they gave me what I thought was as I said, I thought I was rich. But a year later, literally I got, I think 50,000 in my first year and 5,000 a year for 9 years. So I'm thinking, I can't do that. Imagine that. I'd come into the game, I'm the top try scorer in my first year. I'm the man of steel. Imagine, I've never played rugby. To this day, I find it strange. How did I win the man of steel in my first year? It wasn't my best year. Didn't score the most tries. I've done other more incredible things, but then they chose not to. That's why I never be defined by the things that you win. The things that you acquire. Never be defined by money. Never be defined by the number of tries you scored. Yeah, you can be wowed by them, but don't be defined by them, because, you know what I mean?
Of course.
It's just someone else's perception of you. They gave me the man of steel in my first year. And then, you know what I mean? I went on a Lions tour, did all these things, you know, the Premiership, we won the league. And then I'm in Australia with Ellery. Ellery says to me, well, you just go and ask for more money. I went, but I've got a contract. No, you just go and be in dispute. You know what I mean? Mate, they nearly got relegated the year before you were there. They need you more than you need them. I said, okay. So I went back because I thought to myself, well, yeah, it's right. It's not right. They shouldn't be exploiting me. They should come to me and say, look, Marty, you've done this so well. Here's, you know what I mean? So,
which is what Matty does now. With
yeah,
some of the
but
guys.
they didn't do that. So they were exploiting me. And then so they gave me a 3-year contract. And at the end of that 3 years, I wanted to leave. They said, no. What, you're now holding me to I thought, when you sign a new contract, you're meant to rip the other one up. Is that not true? In my thinking? If somebody signs a new contract, the old contract, you can't have 2 contracts going. You're just making it up to suit yourself. And I get that because they love me so much, because I was so valuable to them. If your wife, whatever's so valuable, you're going to fight, you're going to do something, even which is not legal, you're going to do whatever to keep that person. So that's what Widnes did. So there was some resentment from me, but when I discovered and became enlightened, I've got nothing love for Widnes. They gave me an opportunity. Without Widnes, maybe we wouldn't be sitting having this conversation.
Of course.
So that's why I said that. So Ellery, definitely, he taught me the value of star power.
He taught you to own your greatness.
Taught me to own my greatness. Absolutely. Don't let anyone talk you down, and that's what we do as a sport, as rugby league do. And that's what I'm trying to change, is that to talk, never be boastful or bashful, but if you've done something, you've done something. Once it's done, it's done. I'm never going to tell you that I'm going to, you know what I mean, I'm going to do this or be braggadocious or this or that. But if someone tries to, I'm here with, I'm in a room full of people, and, you know, as it is with banter, they always try and put you down, or it's all in jest. They call it banter, whatever. But it's still that, like, I liken it back to, you know, stags fighting, or, you know, there's a bit of, you know, as you fight with your brothers, but you're still a bit of something in there, isn't it, underneath it? We all know that. And then someone's like, they'll try and put me down, whatever. And I think me and Gary were talking about, like, I think Checker was there yesterday at the at the England game, And then so we're talking about Leicester, and we're talking about a player who dropped the ball over the line. And then we saw him, he learnt, Ollie Hassel-Collins dropped the ball over the line against Bath. And then I saw him score a try, still no one around him. And he went over the line. And we're talking about Jake Wardle in the grand final. And I said that he needed to lift the elbow. Yeah. So obviously Gary was having the comeback. Well, what about you that time in New Zealand when you dropped the ball over the line? Yeah, I said, yes, I'm not putting myself as anything personal. I'm just saying you learn from stuff. I don't put myself up there because when you put your head above the parapet, people think that you're doing it to become a shining example. No, you're just doing it to say that what you've learned, what's possible, and that's it. And I said yes, and I learned from that Gary the same way that Ollie Hassel-Collins has learned for it. But I'm not trying to say that I'm perfect. I'm just trying to say what you've learned from it. But I learned so many things from knocking about with Ellery, but I know he's a personal man, and he doesn't like to talk about his anything personal. I would never even touch on that out of respect for him, because I know what he's done for me 100%. And what he gave me. And as I say, I went on to then own my own greatness. But I know the way and there's only one way you own your own greatness, and that's to continue to be great. Yeah. Because it's longevity. That's because you could do the greatest thing ever, right? If it's only one thing, people will not. They'll just say, "Oh, it's lucky," or do this. I always do that. They'll always, even now, people try and say belittle. You go, "Oh yeah." I hear Saints fans. He can only do this. He can only do that. I'm thinking, Jesus.
Yeah, of course,
mate.
It's because they've not owned our greatness.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, what do I have to do? I've scored. There's only 3 people. Yeah. There's probably over 1 million people who have played rugby league, right? Yeah. There's only 3 people have scored over 500 tries. I'm one of them. It's like, you think that's got a nail on your greatness, but some people will find a way to shovel some stuff onto you, which I just find. So when they add something, I always have a rebuttal for it.
Talk to me about your greatest rugby memory, and I don't mean in the clubs after the Challenge Cup final in London.
Oh God, yeah.
We'll come on to that. Mate, talk to me about your greatest. Talk to me about your greatest on-pitch memory.
On-pitch memory. Oh God, there's loads of them.
Top 3.
Top 3 obviously got to be Wembley. It's the try that made us. Oh yeah,
the try. The one where Tatey was chasing you down.
And people, I always have a joke with Jiffy, because he was at the game yesterday as well. And I always say to him, "Oh, Jiffy," because obviously he scored that try in '94 against Australia. Yeah. And I would say, "Hey, Jiffy," I always introduce him. I say, "Jiffy, scorer of the second greatest try ever at Wembley." I always give him that Jiffy. He goes, "Oh, I went round Australian. I went round an Australian fullback. You only went round Tatey." I said, "Only went round Tatey? Tatey is one of the greatest fullbacks ever to play the game. Do you know that geezer went on to become a British Lion of Rugby Union 3 years later after I went round him? I'll give you that."
So what? So talk to me about the other 2 then.
The other 2, I'd have to say, the try I scored, I always call it the try that got me to Wigan. I always say to people when they're at Wigan, I say, this is great, everything you're doing.
Is that where you went around everybody?
Yeah, it's the try. It was the game, and I always like it because I always love scoring tries when greatness is on the other side as well. Because people can always say, you weren't that great, or this or that. But I say, this is the people on the other team. Just look at the names of the players in that team that day. I'll just leave it as that. Yeah. And it was the try that got me to Wembley, because I remember speaking to Maurice Lindsay, and he said to me, "Martin, after you scored that try, that was the try that I said we need him." Yeah. Because when you have a superstar, he ain't gonna last forever. Don't care how great he is. Look at Bevan French now. Yeah. The greatest in Super League. Yeah. But it's only going to be for that time. You know what I mean? Ellery Hanley had his time. Of course. Billy Boston's had his time. Alex Murphy had his time. Sean Long. Sam Tompkins had his time. These are all players who I think at one, Andy Farrell. I always say there's always a player who, what they call the franchise player, but in the code, you know what I mean? In the code of, there's always been that player. I have had my time of doing it. Ellery had his time of doing it. I think I took over from Ellery. Yeah. Sam Tompkins had his time of doing it. Bevan, his time is now. There's always that time, and it's kind of undeniable. But it only lasts for a period.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And sometimes people think, you know, nothing lasts forever. That's true, whether it's bad times or good times.
Yeah.
But you know, this is Bevan French's time now, and in that time, can you communicate to as many people as possible? And I think that try, you know what I mean? I can put that try now to somebody who's never seen rugby, doesn't like rugby, and that, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's what we have to do as a sport of rugby, and that's what I was doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's easy to connect with a black guy from Hackney. Imagine, I'm not from Wigan. People think I'm from Wigan. You know what I mean? I'm not from Wigan. But, you know what I mean? When you do that on the pitch and people see it, they go, wow, you're communicating with people. You're touching them emotionally. You know what I mean? If they're your opposition fans, you hate them. I knew it. Even when it was fans that hated me, you know what I mean? I still know I've got them. That's what I say. If somebody can make you angry, he's got you. As well as they can make, you don't have to love you. They don't have to make you laugh. You just have to get them somehow. You know, if you're a comedian, you tell jokes. If you're aggressive, you punch them in the face. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know what I mean? But that's what people are trying to do. They're trying to affect, and that's what I was doing on the pitch.
Number 3?
I'd have to say scoring 10 tries. I know that Sean Edwards also scored 10 tries.
I remember I was at those games.
Yeah, Sean Edwards also scored 10 tries against Swinton. And I learned so much from Ellery and Sean, because I used to think to myself, I can do what they can do in terms of scoring tries. You know, I mean, I can support up that middle now. We've seen Chris Ashton make a career of it. Yeah. And Ashy, you know, did something. You know, he's a top guy. I've got so much time for Chris Ashton. Yeah. I mean, I've loved watching him play. He's given me so much pleasure. But from that, the first time I've ever met him, never known him from Adam, never met him throughout his career, met him, looked at me, smiled, come up, shook my hand, did a video for my son, who's an up-and-coming rugby player. Yeah. Because I got my son to watch, more than watch my videos, I got my son to watch Chris Ashton's videos. One, because it's more directly, because he'd have more seen him play. Yeah. You know what I mean? And also, it's playing rugby union. Of course. You know what I mean? So it's more, the connection would probably be, whereas me, I'm just his dad. You know, but if I can get Chris Ashton to do a video for him, it means more. And when Ashley said, I got it from him, listen to him. Yeah. That kind of turned, Tyler wasn't in his lower 6th year. He didn't get picked in the academy team to play in the finals that year. Other boys in his own age group were. He didn't get picked in the England squads. And other players were. You know what I mean? And there's some players now who got picked who didn't go on to get professional contracts. You know, so it's all subjective. You know what I mean? It's other people's opinions. You've just got to think about what you think about yourself and just keep working and keep improving. And in some way it will go through, you know, not negative, positive or negative about other people, but you just see others as possibilities. Like, if he can do it, I can do it. That's it. Not because he's done it, why haven't I? Why haven't I got it? That's the negative. It's the same coin, but you're just telling yourself a different message. You're just saying, because he's done it, that means I can do it. I just got to work a bit harder. I'm good enough, but I just got to work harder, because it's just somebody else is seeing it. They can't see what's inside you. They can only see what's outside you. So I say definitely that 10 tries. So the 10 tries, the Widnes try, and the Wembley try.
I've got a behind the scenes question for you. Oh. So I know Wigan was so successful when you played. I mean, you won the Challenge Cup for 8 years, didn't you? Yeah. Best night out ever with the Wigan team?
Oh, God. Oh, that's a tough question. That's a tough.
Best night out.
I'd have to go. I'd have to go. My top 3 would have to be in 1994, after we won the World Club Challenge against Brisbane in Brisbane. I'd say you can win all you want to win, right? You know, Wigan have just beaten Penrith in the in the World Club Challenge, but any rugby player knows, beat Australia team in Australia, because then you can't give them any excuses, because they're always we won in '89 at Old Trafford against Canberra, against Mal Meninga and whatever. Won in, won them. But when you win in Australia, that is the ultimate. So that was a night. Me and Sean Edwards drinking fake champagne that cost like $7 a bottle. But when we had the moment, we looked at each other. we were on top of the. That was one of the greatest feelings,
yeah,
you know, because life is all about emotions. Isn't it? Life's about emotions and stuff like that, and it comes and it goes. But that's one that lasted for the whole night.
Do you have a good dance?
Yeah, we had a good dance. I've forgotten what the club we was in Brisbane now, but that was one. Just drinking, because it shows you, it doesn't matter. Like, you could be in Vegas, like, drinking champagne, which costs £1,000 a bottle, but we were drinking champagne. It might have been Carvel, I don't know. It wasn't expensive, but we still felt on top of the world.
Yeah.
It invoked the same emotion, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It invoked the same emotion. So that was one night.
Yeah.
I'd have to say, because I wasn't a big drinker, only really, and I say to my son now, alcohol tastes better when you win things. Champagne tastes better when you win things. You know, anyone, you know, if it was easy, anyone could be doing it. That's why, you know, I touched on a little bit of, you know, why young people go to the pub and get pissed, because it's great fun. It is great fun. You know, I never used to drink, and I used to think to myself, when I used to be on buses, and I used to think to myself, what's so funny? I didn't get it. What's so funny? You know, I mean, it's not that funny. Perception.
Yeah.
It's only when I was on the other side of the coin, when I was actually drunk, I think, oh, I get it. We're just drunk. That's why it's so funny.
Yeah.
Your inhibitions have gone. So it'd have to be after, I think it was, I can't remember if it was 92 or was it 94. But I think I ended up getting into a bit of a play fight with Phil Clark on the bus on the way back. But I think it was one Challenge Cup bus journey back. I think it was either 92 or 94.
And where did you end up? Did you end up in Pemps? Did you end up in the Riverside?
I think we had definitely ended up. I lost everything. No, it must have been 94, because I think I had the house. Right. I had the house with the swimming pool.
Yeah.
In Manchester, which all the boys used to come, and that's why another thing I learned from Ellery was to be generous. You know what I mean? When because I bought this house, a swimming pool, sauna. I had a night room. I let all. Yeah. Now, I was like the Pied Piper. I said, "Yeah, come use my." Only time I used to heat my swimming pool was when all the Wigan players.
Did you have some decks as well?
I didn't have decks in them, but we used to have parties at my house.
Yeah.
And when I read things about Roy Francis, when I read things about other great coaches, I was a bit like the Pied Piper. I remember Chris Radlinski when he was like a up and comer. He wasn't even in the first team. You know what I mean? But because I lived in Manchester, I used to connect with all the young players. So I used to stay there all day. And I used to go for lunch with them, have relationships with them. They used to come over to my house. You know, I'm still friends with a guy called Wes Cotton to this day.
Yeah.
Who never even made it really. You know, played a few first team games at
I know Wes.
at London Broncos. Had a good game in the World Club Challenge, I think, against Canterbury. But yeah, they're still friends of mine to this day, because I used to connect with them. And now Chris Radlinski is CEO of Wigan,
of course,
and employs me.
And doing a great job.
Mate, he's fantastic. He's learned from people like, you know, all the greats have gone, Maurice Lindsay, but he's taken it onto his own level. His vision, the way I hear him speak, he's a tremendous human being. You know, Matty P, you know, Mike Danson. That's why Wigan, I know now, are going to go on to greatness, because everything is in place.
It's aligned. From head to toe, it's aligned.
Isn't it? But the thing is, you've still got to go out and do it, though. That's the greatest.
100%.
That is it. So 100%. I'd definitely say that night when I came back, I think I ended up in somewhere, Pemps or somewhere. That was a fantastic. I lost everything I owned. I was so drunk. I lost everything I owned. I lost the keys to my house. I lost everything. I had to sleep at. Yes, it was 94, because Graham West was coach, so I had to sleep at Graham West's house. But it was, imagine that, I just achieved something, because all what I've been through, all the pressure, everything, you know, walking around. There's videos of me walking around, because I hated being interviewed by interviewers before games, because I knew as a winger, if you get interviewed after a game, you've done something great. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be interviewed, because if you just scored a couple of tries, they ain't interviewing. But you had to do something great to be interviewed. Any winger who's ever been interviewed after a game, if it's been a big game, has done something amazing. Trust me. I'll tell you that. Wing is the easiest position to play, but the hardest position to be the best player on the field that day out.
Yeah.
Without doubt. I don't care what no one says. No one is going to tell me that. If you're going to say that winger was the best player on the park today, and he won man of the match in a big game, a final, he's got to have done something amazing. It don't happen. Go look how many wingers have won Man of Steel. How many wingers have won Lance Todd? Not many, compared to all the other positions. So stuff like that, So I was like, and I was fueled minor trauma. I was fueled by Alex Murphy's words.
Of course.
That's why I've got nothing but love.
Of course.
I have nothing but love for your minor trauma. They are your fuel. Love them.
Beautiful. Love.
Oh yeah, the third one. The third one was after, I think it was in 1995, after we'd beaten London Broncos. I think I scored about 4 tries or something. And I think one of them, I think I kicked the ball the whole length of the field, and I think was it my 400th try or something like that, or getting close, or it was a landmark game for me, and it was a great. Wigan have had so much success. We had so much success. You can't have too much success, but the time you know you've had too much success is when you say to yourself, if I score another try, does anybody really care?
Yeah.
That's the question I said to myself. If we won another trophy, does anybody really care? And I thought to myself, because success is like holding your breath. You can break records, but you have to breathe sooner or later.
Of course.
And that's what happened with us at Widnes. And we kind of knew it was coming to the end because we kept partying a bit. And then we were going on to do other great things, because to get us winning another Challenge Cup didn't mean anything.
No.
Imagine that. We win 4, then they get rid of Ellery, get me, we did another 4. I was under the biggest pressure. They said, we've just sold Ellery Hanley for £225,000 in back then. Which is what, imagine that. You've sold the greatest player, arguably, to ever play the game for £250,000, and then we buy you for close to £500,000. And if you tank it,
of course,
mild trauma. But I responded to it. I thought to myself, where would I want to be? Mate, all the players around me. G Miles. I cried when G Miles left.
Right.
I literally cried because I knew how special that player was, and they got another player who I didn't gel with emotionally, and it was tough and a lot of other things. But we had so much success, and then after 8, if we won 9, we won 12, 24. When's enough?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Most people don't get to make those decisions. Imagine that if you said to somebody that's the conversation you're having with yourself. So we had to go and do other things. We're playing rugby union on days when we've got a game, right? On the weekend. That's why we didn't win the first Super League, because we're playing against Bath. The only reason Wigan didn't win the first Super League title in 1996, because we're playing against Bath Rugby League at Main Road.
Is that a double header?
Yeah, no. We
Just
played
a one-off.
No, we played a one-off against Bath. We played Rugby Union at Main Road. I think I scored 6 tries that day. We beat them 85-6. Then we went to play them at Rugby Union in Twickenham, and then we went to play them we went to play the Sevens. Who is serious? Penrith won't fly over they respect their game so much. They won't fly over to play Wigan in 2025 a week before going to Vegas. They won't do that.
Of course.
Because they are still holding. I mean, they want to win 4. They're still holding. We had to go outside of our sport so much. We played 3 games over the space of a couple of weeks. Got injuries and stuff like that. And we still missed out by points difference to win the Super League. Because we were doing so many other things. Like even now, Wigan taking the games to Vegas, because we understand and we get it from the position that we're in as a sport, from the position that we're in as a club. As individuals, we have to do something incredible just to get noticed.
Of course.
I have to score 10 tries in a game. I have to score a length field try at Wembley. But when I did that, that's why I went to put my head in my hands, and as I'd done when Dougie had first, because I think to myself, anyone who knows me, I've never ever done that. I see people now do, celebrations and they're, contrived or whatever. Imagine that. I played 400 and something games. I've scored 501 tries. I've only ever done that celebration once. It was on that day at Wembley. I didn't wake up Wembley saying, if I score today, I'm going to do that.
Of course.
It just came, it's authentic. It came from in there.
It came from your soul, didn't it?
It came from my soul. I did it after scoring that try. After the only other time I did it was when I dropped my knees because he came back. I thought he's never going to come back.
Yeah.
Come back and offer me 85 grand. I thought, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I had to do, that's not down to me, but it was down to me in the sense that I asked, I asked it. But I said I didn't accept if I accept the first offer, I wouldn't have done that, obviously. And then fast forward, I did it, never done it again. Never done that celebration again. You can't ever see that celebration again. And then it's in the statue outside Wembley. And then it's how many, it's the 20 whatever anniversary. This year.
Yeah.
And then no one was even saying about the anniversary. It was me who said to my agent, it's 20 years. He goes, okay, maybe I'll reach out to the RFL. Maybe they might do something. I reached out. Then they come back to me and said, oh, we'd like to be guest of honour. I said, love it. We're going to in the semi-final. This time, the same time last year, I'm in Ibiza. Wigan playing against Hull KR. I think they've won the game. They got beat. And I said to myself, no, imagine if I was giving out the trophy to Wigan.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, how good would that be on that anniversary of that try?
Yeah.
It happened.
Manifest.
It happened. I thought to myself, I remember the week, I thought to myself, I've got to wear some kind of suit. I've got to wear some kind of suit because this is going to be a moment that I'm going to remember forever.
Of course.
And I remember the day before going up to Liam Farrell saying, mate, I was so nervous because I thought to myself, what about if I handed it over to Sam Burgess or to George Williams and the Warrington, it just wouldn't be the same.
No.
And I'm sitting up there in the stand thinking like that.
Yeah.
And not everything in life goes your way. Some things do.
Of course.
So when they do, they celebrate. So getting back to my original story, because I go off tangent a lot. Yes, when that happened, that was the biggest celebration for me. So that's why I just went completely off the rails at night. I was in every bar celebrating with people. I couldn't believe it. I thought, this is it. This is my Nirvana. This is my Olympic. This is my heavyweight champ. This is it. I thought to myself, that's why I went down. I knew it was it. I knew it was it. And I've been proved right.
Great.
Because I was authentic in that moment. And then when 2009, I'm doing a book tour. I wrote a book about tries, which not a lot of people have read. But I always say, history leaves clues. Imagine that. Someone wants to try and score more tries than me, has not read my book about scoring tries. I thought, more for you. You ain't going to break my record, then, are you? But it's crazy. It's crazy.
Last 5 minutes.
Love it.
Last 5 minutes. Tell me what you're up to now. What you're manifesting at the moment.
Electric vehicles. That's my passion. Sustainability. Because I have this thing that, it's all about sustainability, relationships, everything, the planet, like Wayne Gretzky's. Skate to where the puck is going. A friend reached out to me after I bought an electric vehicle for myself. A guy called Andy Gomersall gave me a lift, an electric vehicle. I thought, wow, what are these? This was in 2016. I didn't even know what an EV was. I was like, wow, what are these things? Curiosity, opportunity is the first thing. Curiosity, which led to emotional connection. So curiosity, I bought my wife an electric vehicle, living the dream, talking passionately about electric vehicles to everybody at a party with a friend of mine, telling about my trip in an EV to France, the south of France, and how amazing that was. He said, mate, you got to come and work for me. I said, what am I going to do for you? I don't know anything about business. He says, no, just do what you've just done there. He said, share your story. That's what you that's what you do.
Yeah.
Excite people about it.
Yeah.
With your story about what is, take them on your journey about where you've come to, where you've started in Hackney, in that back room, someone coming to you saying, spinning you a story about how you're going to be the greatest. Now you've got a statue at Wembley, which anyone can connect to.
Of course.
If you say to somebody, rugby league, I don't know, I've got a statue outside Wembley. Oh, you've got a statue outside Wembley?
Yeah.
It means, it connects with people because you think, you don't know what they've done, but to have that, it must have meant something to somebody for somebody to go and do that. So it's sharing, using my vehicle, learning even from people like you, your good self, from Matty Pete, seeing what they've done, reading books, looking back at your journey, learning how powerful your story is, realising that we're all magnificent. Everyone is.
Yeah, for sure.
The only difference is that can you connect all my rugby journey has done is to help me bring out what's inside me to connect to people. Otherwise, I always say that everyone can connect to somebody, but, somebody can't connect to everybody. You just need enough somebodies to connect to everybody. It's just like going viral, Christianity. How does anything spread, good or bad?
Yeah.
It just comes from passionate people sharing that message of positivity of their story, hoping it might ignite a flame or help repair some damage in somebody. And then they just go on their journey. It's just just sharing.
And you're also an ambassador for Wigan Rugby League as well. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I'm an ambassador for Wigan. It all kind of, I believe I've been an ambassador for Wigan from the moment I walked out the door. Every reality TV show I've been on, it's Martin Offiah, former Wigan this, Wigan that. So, and then but the first person to really bring me in, and I have to thank, was a guy called Michael Maguire, who was the Wigan coach, who I think started this revival for Wigan. And he was the first person who connected with Wigan's past, because Wigan's past was so great, but it was looming over all what John Money did, what Maurice Lindsay did, what what all the greats did. Graham West.
It's deeper than that, isn't it?
Yeah, and then going back, even it's the town. I think it's the town.
Yeah.
Even because I've learned now, going back to, because I can only go back to what I know, and then recently I've learned about Roy Francis and how he was embraced. I said a black man was embraced by a town to come and play rugby for them. The same with Billy Boston, and then they keep them as their own. And then he moved in with somebody, and then had a child with the landlord's wife. I'm thinking, God, that most people would have got their pregnant. They weren't married at the time, but you know what I mean, and had a relationship and had a child with that person and embraced. I just think there's something. When I go to Ibiza, I think there's something magical. Mate, there's so much we could talk about, but I know we haven't got time.
Of course.
But I'll wrap it up. I say,
of course.
When I go to Ibiza, there's something magical about that island, okay?
Yeah.
When I go to Wigan, there's something magical. I went up the other day. I'm just staying in a hotel. I get a call from Gary Conley, who says he's at a wedding and I should come up there for a drink. I can't just crash a wedding. He said, come up there. You'd think I was the guest of honour there.
Yeah.
People crying, people telling me about their granddads who that are no longer there, and how I was their favourite player, and how it means so much to them, and they can't believe that I walked into this room on that day.
Yeah.
And I just think, God, you're on the. I get you where to come. It's just you're overcome by your emotions.
Yeah.
You're overcome by your emotions, and what I've done just by merely walking in has done that to them. And that is. So and I only know that from, I don't know about Billy Boston's times, I don't know about those times, but I just know about Wigan's, when they did that 8 years, was fantastic. And Michael Maguire was the first coach who came after who could really tap into that. So he brought me in, said, Martin, would you come? Would you write a speech? And then thankfully, again, they had to win, because if they didn't win that grand final and then he still left, it wouldn't have meant, but thankfully they won. And then that speech, it's not just about me. It's about the shirt. It's I mentioned players like Chris Van Linsky.
I've seen that speech. Amazing.
I talk about Sean Wayne. I talk about all of us. So it's not me up there. It's all of us up there, and it's there for everyone to see. So you don't run away from your past, good or bad. Embrace it. And that's what Wigan did. They embraced their history, and then they've just Michael Margaret did, and then Sean Wayne took it on, and Matty Peet has took it on. Ian Lenigan, after Morris, and now we've got Mike Danson.
Of course.
And that is, and so Wigan is a special place. It's a special, and always will be for me.
Of course. All right, mate, we're going to have to do a part 2 where we talk about Ibiza, and we talk about DJ, and we talk about spirituality and stuff like that,
God, because
I know exactly.
Oh,
but thank you for sharing so much passion. Thank you for sharing your greatness, because I judge that a lot of young men and women today, they don't know how great they can be. Everybody talks about owning your darkness, but it's equally as important to own your greatness.
Absolutely.
So thanks for modelling that. And if people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Oh, mate. If you can't find...
I don't mean you're local.
I say, if you can't find Martin Offiah, you ain't looking. You are not looking, because I'm everywhere. You know what I mean? You just type Martin Offiah into Google, you'll find me. You can find, I found people, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, any social media, that is, you don't, initially you used to have those conversations, and I used to say at the end, didn't they say, where can we find you? It's like, if you can't find me, you ain't looking.
Yeah. Good point. So if you want to find him, Just type it into Google. All right, mate. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's gone too fast. I want to continue talking, but time is at our mercy. And I just want to thank you from my heart for sharing your passion. And I look forward to part 2.
My pleasure.
Thanks, mate.